We're back to bring you TCR races from all over the world. This time we'll go to Slovakia for the opening rounds of TCR Europe. We'll head to the USA for the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. We'll jump over to Asia for TCR Australia and TCR Japan, and then we'll come back to Europe for TCR Germany, TCR Russia and TCR Italy. Welcome to episode 21 of Inside the World of TCR. 6 months after the 2020 TCR Europe series ended in Jarama, the 2021 season got underway at the Slovakia ring at the beginning of May. 2018 champion Mikel Azcona started second on the grid for race 1, but made a better start than pole sitter Tom Coronel and took the lead into turn 1 in front of the Dutchman Nicolas Baert and Daniel Nage. Further behind there was contact between Klim Gavrilov and Isidro Callejas, with the Russian driver forced to retire. 2 laps into the race and Niels Langeveld, driving a brand new Sebastian Loeb Racing Hyundai Elantra, overtook the 16-year-old Spaniard Isidro Callejas, driving a Brutal Fish Racing Honda Civic. On the next lap, after a long side-by-side battle with Mehdi Benani, Evgeny Leonov braked too hard into turn 4 and was passed for 8th position by Benani, Dusan Borkovic and Sami Taufik. On lap 4, Tom Coronel started to lose positions because of a broken turbo pipe. This was when he was passed for 2nd by his teammate Nicolas Baert into turn 1. Clearly huge disappointment in the come-to-you pits after the Dutch driver showed such an impressive pace during qualifying. On lap 5, Coronel was then passed by his compatriot Niels Langeveld for 5th. On the same lap, there was this fierce battle between 2 Sebastian Loeb Racing teammates, with the defending champion Mehdi Benani challenging the 26-year-old Italian Felice Jelmini. The pair went side by side into turn 9, but Jelmini was a bit too hard on the brakes, and so the Moroccan, who'd started 10th on the grid, managed to pass him, moving up to 7th. On lap 6, Isidro Callejas, while running 6th behind Tom Coronel, had a huge scare when he ran onto the grass and the rear of the car was kicked into the air when he hit a large bump. Although the car initially seemed undamaged by the incident, Callejas would be forced to pull up in the race's final moments with broken suspension, as you can see in these pictures. After taking part in only 4 races in 2020 and winning 3 of them, Mikel Azcona started his 2021 campaign in style by winning the opening round. Nicolas Baert, who ended up 3rd in the 2020 standings, finished 2nd in front of Dani Nage, who completed the podium. Langeveld was 4th in front of Tom Coronel, who finally managed to hang on to 5th spot in front of Benani. For Azcona, it was time to celebrate in the Mini Parc Fermé. In the second race, Mehdi Benani had a great start from pole and kept the lead into turn 1, while his teammate Felice Jelmini, starting alongside him on the front row, struggled and lost 3 positions in a couple of corners. But the best start was definitely the one made by Franco Girolami. The Argentinian, driving a PSS Racing Team prepared Honda Civic and starting 5th, was already in 2nd position going into turn 4. Then on the same lap, the race was briefly disrupted by a safety car intervention to recover Taufik's Elantra, which didn't leave the grid because of a transmission problem. As soon as the race resumed, Mikel Azcona, who'd started 9th on the reversed grid, overtook Klim Gavrilov for 3rd, with this move going into turn 1. After starting from P10, Tom Coronel was moving up the order lap after lap. This was when he passed Jelmini into turn 4 for 8th. It took only 1 lap for Mikel Azcona to put pressure on Girolami and pass him for 2nd, with this move once again going into turn 1. On lap 6, there was a great duel for 11th place between the Audi of Dusan Borkovic and Niels Langeveld's Hyundai, a battle that ended with a small contact which forced the Netherlands driver to take to the grass and later on to retire because of the grass blocking the radiator. After reviewing the incident, the stewards decided to take no further action. On lap 8 into the first corner, Tom Coronel moved up another position in the standings to 6th when he passed Callejas on the inside with this move. On the penultimate lap, with this very smart move into turn 9, Jimmy Claret in a Peugeot managed to pass both the local hero Mato Homola and Dusan Borkovic for 9th. Despite lap after lap of intense pressure from Azcona, Bernani held on to do the one thing he failed to do during his 2020 TCR Europe season. He held his nerve to take the victory by a fraction over half a second, with Girolami also holding off his pursuers to secure third place. Behind those three, Klim Gavrilov finished fourth and Danny Nage was fifth. By finishing second, Azcona took the lead of the championship with a gap of 22 points. But the biggest celebration in the Mini Parc Fermé was that of reigning champion Mehdi Bernani, finally grabbing his first win in TCR Europe. After not being able to stage a single event in 2020 because of the global pandemic, TCR Australia came back strongly, and already 4 meetings have taken place so far in 2021. The most recent was at Sydney at the beginning of May. Josh Buchan in a Hyundai i30 won both Race 1 and Race 2, while Michael Caruso's Alfa Romeo Giulietta won Race 3. In the championship standings, Chaz Mostert, who's won 5 races, is still leading with a very solid gap of more than 100 points over Luke King in second. TCR Italy kicked off at the beginning of May at the Temple of Speed, Monza, with 25 cars on the grid. All eyes were on reigning champion Salvatore Tavano, who'd be challenged by some talented drivers from other TCR series, including Antti Buri, Evgeny Leonov, Igor Stefanovski, Dusan Kuril, Matthias Vattel and Volt Ruben. In the first race on a wet track, Stefanovski made an incredible start from P4 on the grid and jumped into the lead ahead of Poloni, Giacon and Tavano. Tavano chased Stefanovski during the early laps, then took the lead with this move and pulled away from the rest of the field. On lap 12, Buri was able to overtake Chekon and then Stefanovski, climbing to second. Then the Macedonian made a mistake at the first chicane and dropped to fifth behind Chekon and Brigliadori. During the last 2 laps, Brigliadori passed Chekon and Buri to finish second. Tavano took an authoritative win, ending the race with a 7.5 second gap to Brigliadori. Antti Buri was given a 5-second penalty for a grid infringement and so dropped to fifth behind Chekon and Stefanovski. Baldan was sixth. In the second race, Salvatore Tavano, after starting 6th, took the lead on lap 8 when he overtook Kevin Chekon on the main straight. In total, the race was disrupted by the safety car 3 times. The most spectacular crash occurred on lap 11 when Stefanovski was punted out at the Roger by Dusan Kuril. This resulted in a 25-second post-race penalty for Kuril. After the third restart with only 2 laps to go, there was a tough battle involving Chekon and Brigliadori. Brigliadori climbed to P2 and then closed in on Tavano, but would finish second, less than 2/10 behind. Chekon retained third place ahead of Buri and was then dropped to 9th by another 5-second penalty for cutting the chicane after the start. This promoted Vattel to 4th and Imberti to 5th. In the championship standings, Tavano leads with an 8-point gap over Brigliadori. The 2021 TCR Germany series debuted in Oschersleben in mid-May, and Luca Engstler, driving a Hyundai i30N, had an almost perfect weekend. The young German was fastest in both free practice sessions, second fastest in qualifying 1, fastest in qualifying 2, and won both race 1 and race 2. Obviously, that performance means he leads the championship with a 22-point advantage over Dominik Fugel, who finished second in race 1 and was demoted from second to third in race 2 because of an incident on the final lap. Parker Chase and Ryan Norman scored the Hyundai Elantra N's first win in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge at Mid-Ohio, the 3rd round of the season. Hyundai returned to the top of the chart in the TCR class, taking 4 of the top 5 finishing positions, including class winners Chase and Norman in the number 98 Brian Herter Autosport with Curb Agajayan Hyundai Elantra N TCR. Chase had a healthy battle with the number 19 Van der Steur Racing Hyundai Veloster N for the first half of the race, battling for the lead on several occasions. The number 98 passed the number 19 for first place just before a full course caution at the midpoint. Norman took over at the pit stop in second place behind the number 27 Hyundai Veloster, driven by Tyler Maxson. Norman bided his time, saving his tyres before working his way past Maxson with just under half an hour remaining. Norman held off teammate Michael Lewis in the number 77 Veloster by 1.02 seconds at the finish line. Ryan Eversley brought the number 94 Atlanta Speedworks Honda Civic Type R home in 3rd. Hyundai cars also grabbed 4th and 5th places, thanks to the number 27 Veloster and the number 33 BHA Elantra respectively. Their second place helped the pairing of Hagler and Lewis to stretch their lead in the standings to 40 points over Eversley. The fourth round of the series will take place at Watkins Glen on June the 26th. TCR Japan raced in Autopolis for the second meeting of the season. The race started under torrential rain, with pole sitter Shirasaka taking the lead from Hirobon, Kato and Mineki Okura. But during the first lap, 3 cars fell victim to aquaplaning. Shirasaka's Honda skidded off the track, crashed into the tyre wall, bounced back onto the tarmac and eventually rejoined. Hirobon fiercely defended the lead from Miura, who risked losing control and going off a few times. Despite his efforts, Miura wasn't able to get close enough to try an overtaking manoeuvre and so finished second. For Hirobon, this was his second win of the season. Race 2 didn't take place because of the bad weather conditions and was postponed to another date. The reigning TCR Russia champion Kirill Ladygin started the new season on the front foot with a victory in the opening race at the Smolensk Ring. The Lada Sport Rosneft driver played the perfect strategy, chasing the leaders in the first part of the race and then benefiting from a safety car period and a sudden rain shower to snatch first place from his teammate Mikhail Metyev as they secured a 1-2 finish for the Lada Vesta Sport cars. In the second race, rookie Egor Fokin staged a surprise as he claimed a maiden victory on his first appearance in the championship at the wheel of an independently run Lada Vesta Sport car. The 18-year-old started from pole on the reversed grid and led from lights to flag, driving like a veteran in keeping at bay reigning champion Kirill Ladygin, who wanted to encore his Race 1 victory. In the championship standings, Ladygin leads with a 14-point advantage over Mityev. That was Inside the World of TCR episode 21. In the coming weeks, plenty of TCR races are planned, in particular the opening event of WTCR, the pinnacle of the TCR pyramid. We'll bring you all the action, but for now, it's goodbye.